with all the big calls on all the big races. Welcome along to another edition of What a Shout, filmed somewhere on Friday morning in the capital with myself, Dave Orton, the Racing Post flagship feature weekend show with our sponsors, Bet365. Welcome along everyone out there. It's a good day to be on planet Earth. It's Countryside Day down at Cheltenham, of course. The November meeting kicks off in all splendour. 2 tasty cards at Punchestown, one at Cork as well. Loads of action to bring you, and one of the best panels anywhere in the game. He's back in the studio. Pat Cooney joins us. Hello, Pat.
Yes, good morning to you. Glad to be here.
Full of pomp.
Full of pomp and ceremony.
And it's all about the jumps now. We can unequivocally say that, can't we?
Yes, we can, yeah. Although there's a decent race at Lingfield on Saturday, but it's head choppers all the way now, yeah, sure.
There's always one kill, isn't there? Paul Kealy joins us back.
Yeah, I've only just discovered there's racing at Lingfield on Saturday. I'm not going to be paying much attention to that, to be honest.
Pile driver turns up, Group 1 winner, so it's all good. All right, so look, let's have some fun this afternoon with the races. Of course, we'll be, Cheltenham is there, but it's Saturday and Sunday we'll be concentrating on. Don't forget to get your comments below in YouTube, like and subscribe, of course, anything on Facebook, let's hear it, and on Twitter, #WhatAShout. Now, who have we got out there for you? I can tell you from his base, it's the best guest we could have possibly brought you this weekend. Dan Skelton joins the party. Dan, good morning.
Morning, you all right?
Absolutely fantastic, Dan. Great to have you on. I mean, we looked at the 5-day decks, Dan. There was only one person we wanted. Thanks for agreeing to come on. You've pretty much got a favourite in every televised race, haven't you?
Got a few favourites, yeah. Just funny how it all comes together, isn't it? You make the entries you intend to run. Sometimes the races sort of go your way. Sometimes they don't. But, yeah, just go on a lucky groove, I suppose.
Yeah, well, quite, absolutely. Your mentor, of course, Paul Nicholls, said at the start of the season, if there was one threat to the crown, it was going to be Dan. Of course, Harry last season, of course, champion jump jockey, that was marvellous. He's broken through the 1,000 winner barrier. You're not far off, Dan. On the 8th of November, you had your 992nd winner. Your first, let me see if I've got this right, was a horse called Mr. Grez, 2013 at Fosslas.
There you go, yeah. You've done your own work.
Thanks to the boys at Racehorse Interactive. I'm well prepared, Dan. So, Dan, again, the season going really, really well. Oh, my goodness gracious me. Let's bring in Pat Cooney here back because, of course, the big Bet365 day at Wetherby, Charlie Hall. It was all going so swimmingly.
Yeah, and it was on course to be a terrific meeting for Team Skelton, wasn't it? And they did have plenty of winners on the card, but the one that got away, Shan, and when he turned into the home straight, when surnamed, the petrol gauge went to 0, and Shambler suddenly sprinted 20 clear, there was a real gasp from the crowd. It was like, wow, we're actually going to see something pretty special here. Unfortunately, we did. It reminded me of Van der Velde in the golf years ago, like a mile clear, and maybe he's going to become more known for not winning than winning, but it was a terrific performance up until the departure. I wish him well. I just wondered how he is, Dan, and what plans have you got for him?
Yeah, he's all right, actually. I thought he'd be sort of a bit stiffer for a bit longer than he is. I'm going to obviously see him every day in his stable. He's still in the same yard, in his same stable. We haven't moved him for sort of a different recuperation. And, I'm really happy with how he's moving, actually. I thought he'd still be a bit stiff. But basically, it told us that we had to take our foot off the gas. He's not an old horse. I think realistically, we'll be going down the Grade 1 route. A horse of that calibre, you've got to do that, really.
Right, Dan, let's get into this before we move on to the rest of it.
Can't you have a little warm-up in the old Racing Post Chase off 148? Certainly, that's an absolutely perfect place to start, isn't it? And you can be 70% fit and win it 10 lengths.
I know. I mean, look, things like that are obviously there. They're obvious to everybody. We've got to have the discussion yet. Me and Colin haven't talked about it, really. We just want to get him right. And once we start back on again, we can make a plan. But look, it's very, very tempting. Of course it is. But also, your job as a manager, your job as a trainer is to get it right. And we'll just be doing the best we can to make sure we do get it right.
Yeah, okay, all right, Dan, that's Shan Blue. Listen, we gave him a Racing Post rating of 172, so you can see why Keel's slicking his lips. That could be Gloria Victor's and Marlborough stuff,
Well, I
couldn't
wouldn't be
it?
making an awful lot of money out of it, because he'd be incredibly short price.
And he's got Kempton form, we know that, from last Boxing Day. So listen, Dan, we'll leave that one with you. Let's get up on the screen then, for the viewers out there, the top horses that Dan has trained by Racing Post Racing. There's Shan Blue at the top, of course, all the way down to my Drogo. Now, we won't talk about him, Dan, because listen, he finally makes his chasing debut. Going to get that Cheltenham tick, hopefully, next to his name. We won't go into him, but some of the old favourites there, Dan. And let's also talk about the fact that you've got your stable tour coming out in the Racing Post on Tuesday. One of our senior writers, Nick Pulford, came down and enjoyed that with you. I spoke to Nick yesterday. He gave me 4 to advertise, Dan. If you don't mind a quick word on these before we look ahead to your weekend runners. So we're going to call them Pulford's Picks. And also in the Shan Blue colours, there are 2 of them there. Now, Com's colours are obviously, strong patron for you, Dan. Hardcore. A word on this chap, and it's fair to say that was a hardcore surprise according to the market.
Yeah, it was. I didn't expect to beat Sam Thomas's horse. I really didn't. I thought he'd go around there, jump nicely, be a bit green, maybe pull a bit early on, look like a green baby, but ultimately stay on well and think, yeah, he could win next time. That he jumped in, and got so strong down to the last, I thought was a really good show. Sam's horse didn't jump that well. I think the form on the day is open to some interpretation. We like him at home, always have done. He's got a great attitude, and I think there's a lot to come from him. Maybe one more race, and then if it all went according to plan, you could run him in something like a Tolworth, because I think a real soft ground, stay in 2 miles may just suit a horse like him. But yeah, it's great when they go win on debut. They ultimately do take you by surprise, because even if you think they're going to win, you never really know the full story. So yeah, he's got to go in everyone's notebooks. You can't beat a horse like Sam's, even if he did jump moderately that day, unless you've got a good chunk of ability.
Yeah, that's good risk at all, of course. The horse that he beat, that was, it looks like it's going to be strong for him at Chepstow. What about Nurse Susan then, in the same colours, Dan? And if I can paraphrase your quote in the Racing Post analysis afterwards, this is something a bit special.
Yeah, I actually think she's different class to Hardcore. And I said as much to Colin before we ran either of them. And even when Hardcore won, I said, I still think Nurse Susan's better. It's just nice to see her go and race so professionally. She relaxed. She came home strong. You can tell that 2 miles is not an issue. But realistically, she's going to get further as she gets older. We will look down the big route for the mares. I'll have to talk to Colin about exactly what we do, but there's a National Hunt Novices Hurdle at Cheltenham in December meeting over on the track that they run the mares Novice Hurdle at the festival. So it may just be a good idea to go there and give her that experience, and then you've got that under your belt. You can see how it feels afterwards and make your plan for the spring.
Yeah, okay, great stuff. There you go. This stable tour is going to be different class, isn't it? Tuesday, do not miss out. A quick word on Our Jet, please, Dan, if you don't mind. Second at Aintree last time.
Yeah, big horse. By a new sire to the game, Jet Away, who I think is going to do well. He did too much, I think, at Aintree. He was a little bit on the bridle, over-raced for the first mile or so. But for a big horse, he was very nimble at his obstacles. He did get there and then at least stay on. Even though he'd been keen, he had the decency to stay on and show that ability that he could keep galloping despite being keen. That freshness will be out of him now. I mean, a 2.5 mile maiden hurdle should be, I wouldn't say formality, that's disrespectful, but realistically, a 2.5 mile maiden hurdle next time, he'd be going off favourite, and ultimately I'd be disappointed if he didn't win. Going forward, he may not be a sort of a big shiny hurdler, but I think when you go chasing, you get a very good horse.
Very interesting. Talking about fences, I mean, All Mankind, one of your top horses, we saw in the graphic there, Dan. We know what he's done, of course, absolute superstar. It's fair to say he's a bit of a freak, isn't it? What about Stepney Callsway then, the final of the Pulford's Picks? And same colours, same race, he was beating in over hurdles before going to fences, and it looks like you've got him entered at Warwick as well.
Exactly. Don't break a winning formula.
And is he going to jump, Dan? Because again, he's one of the, obviously you think he jumps fine. What is it about Warwick that your horses love?
I love the 5 down the back. I think it's just great for horses. You get them in a rhythm. Harry's great round there, and yeah, it's a great track to get in a rhythm with a jumper. I really like Stepney Causeway. He is a good horse. I've always said to Tim, he's not as good as All Mankind, never has been, but he's a good horse. I don't really want everybody to get too carried away and go, oh, here's All Mankind Mark II, because you've got to be sort of respectful of Stepney Causeway. He's his own horse. He can't just live up to All Mankind standards. Having said, I do think he'll go very well next week, and I think he'll make a good chaser and win lots of races. It's a long way to go before he's All Mankind, though.
if he wins by 12 lengths or so like All Mankind did, Dan, the pressure will be on, let me tell you. Let's talk about your weekend runners then, if you don't mind, Dan, and something that we've really enjoyed this week. Listen, you know the game, Dan. You're one of these new up-and-coming, well, I say up-and-coming, he's a 6-time Grade 1 winner, for goodness sake. I don't want to be disparaging about it, but you know the game, Dan, media-wise. And something called the Skelton Saturday series that we've been enjoying this week, where Third Time Lucky is the recipient this week. You've been showing us all his preparation. That's been hugely well received on Twitter and the likes, isn't it?
Yeah, I went through a real dry spell with, personally, with social media. I don't have any of the apps on my phone. I explained in the first bit we did that realistically the main reason for that is time. But also the interaction on it can sometimes just be disgraceful and despicable. And, you know, as much as you try not to let things get to you, they do. If you want to know how good you are, look on there after you've trained a winner, ridden a winner, tipped a winner, owned a winner. If you want to know how bad you are, go on there after you've got an odds-on shot beat. And it's just not a true reflection, and there's no consistency to a lot of the comments on there. But I have to say that there are a lot of genuine people on there who enjoy the horses, the real racehorse and horse enthusiasts that want to see those bits and pieces. And I'd like to sort of give them a bit of an insight into what goes on. Then there's the sort of the youth of today who are perhaps thinking about career choices, job choices, and they can see a little bit more of what goes on. And then the punters. The punters do contribute to the business in a big way. They obviously bet at the weekends and in the week, some of them. And, you know, I like those people. They are good people. They enjoy the racing, and I thought I could give to all of these sort of areas. You're going to have to face the odd bad one on there, but I think everybody knows that now. But I can't let a few bad ones spoil it for the majority of good ones. So we thought this was a really good way to interact with people, doing it for the right reasons for us and the right reasons for the audience. And I'm just glad it's gone down well. Tiggy, who's in our office, she does a good job editing it all. And we thought, look, we'll see how this goes. If it falls on its face, then we won't bother. But if people enjoy it, we'll keep going.
Yeah, so if you want to check that out, go on Dan's Twitter accounts. You can see it all on the website, his extensive website. Just a quick one, Kills, on this.
Yeah, well, you're not wrong about social media. I mean, it can be full of complete lunatics.
Well, Harry got an absolute pasting, didn't he?
I spent far too long of that weekend defending Harry Skelton to people who were clearly talking out of their pockets or just talking nonsense, and there was nothing to defend. You know,
fall's a fall, isn't it?
Well, sometimes horses just fall, and he apparently went too soon, according to some people. I mean, for Christ's sake, he was going further away. He wasn't being pushed into the fence. He just came up too early, came down. Horses fall every now and again. That's what happens. Yeah, just unlucky.
A reminder then, if you are on Twitter and you listen, you've had a bet, take a breath, go and walk the dog, then come back and maybe
stick as well that they get. You know,
exactly. And we're all getting a bit sick of it here, Dan. Now Dan's on the clock, Kills, so we can go on about this. We've got to ask you about some horses. Third time lucky, Dan. Let's stick with him. That was breathtaking. I mean, look, okay. The second has actually come out and won as well, hasn't it? Elliott's horse. But did you really expect that, of course, at the October meeting? He runs on Saturday.
Yeah, I thought he'd win. But I thought there'd be one a lot closer than they were ultimately behind him. But I thought he'd jump really nicely. I thought he'd win. I didn't think he'd do what he did. That was a massive up on what he'd done over hurdles. He always had the ability and potential to do something like that, but you've got to go and see it. You know, you have to go and see it to believe it. You know, how do you know Disneyland exists if you don't go there?
Never been down. It might not exist. Let's stick with that. Charlie Post, a friend of ours here in the studio, of course, broke him in. He keeps rabbiting on about that.
He's still going on about that.
He's still going on about it, but he said, listen, this was always going to take his form to a new level. He did let me into the fact that you're going to be a bit more sparing with his campaign. Could he have a winter break?
Yeah, I'd like to go Saturday, Henry VIII, and then back off, basically. He'll be then Warwick for the Kingmaker, Cheltenham, and possibly Aintree. If the ground was really, really soft / heavy at Sandown, I'd leave him till Kempton over Christmas, and then again break. Yeah. He'd be back for Warwick.
He did look breathtaking.
I overraced him last year. Just, me and Mike, who own him, we were just like, let's go Mike was as enthusiastic as I was, and we overdid the job. I mean, he should have won. He should have won at Aintree. I should have missed Cheltenham, and he'd have won at Aintree.
Yeah, okay, all right, Dan. We all know what happened at Cheltenham as well. So listen, this is a great horse, isn't it? We expect him to win Gills on Saturday. We're conscious that Don is on the clock. Paddy Power Gold Cup. We'll be doing a separate preview for you guys out there. But Dan's obviously got two very interesting runners. Last year's run-out Spirit of the Games and Protectorat. Do you want to ask Dan about them, Gills?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Protectorat is a big ask, top weight in a handicap like that. But he's a young horse, and when he jumped really well, he really did, and I backed him at Aintree, and I thought he was fantastic. I think it's a big ask, but he's got a big chance. And Spirit of the Games, he turns up at Cheltenham and he runs his race pretty much every time, doesn't he? Yeah. So you wouldn't be surprised if he's on the premises again. Yeah.
Dan, let's come to you with this then. A Protector. I guess if you look at the race, Dan, if you think about horses that could step up to the Ryanair, certainly when he was winning at the course early on in the season, that was where everyone thought he'd end up this season. How is he?
Yeah, really good. And this has been the plan since he came in, well, since Aintree, basically, last year. I was going to get a run into him just to make things more comfortable, but when I realised the ground was such 3 weeks ago, scrapped that plan, doubled down on his work, got him away to the grass gallop twice. There's no fitness issue at all. Yes, he's got to carry top weight, but he's a Grade 1 horse in the handicap. Alpha won it second season novice. I remember when I worked for Paul. Class horses can win handicaps off top weights, and the prize money has done its job here. We could have gone for an easier, smaller option, but the prize money's done its job here and attracted us to run in the race. And I think it's a good advert for the whole job, really. We've got Paul's horse Laylaw. If he waves a magic wand, then that's a Grade 1 horse as well. So. It's an interesting race. I'm just delighted to have two in it. Spirit of the Games is no back number. I have to say, on a normal day, conceding £10 to Spirit of the Games wouldn't be enough for Protectorat. To be honest with you, I think Protectorat is more than £10 ahead of him. I said as much to Norman Lake, his owner, but Cheltenham brings out the best in him. Perhaps he's £10 better around there. So he's no back number, like Keel says.
What about the Greatwood on Sunday then, Dan? Assuming he's turning up, obviously we're filming before the decks have come out to us, but Pat, you wanted to ask about?
West Cork, if that's okay, Dan. A rating of 134. He's a very talented horse. We've not seen him for 630 odd days. I wonder how he is. There's been plenty of money for him anti-post, but of course this is a hot-looking Greatwood. But is he a horse that we should bear in mind, not just for Sunday, but for the rest of the season?
Yeah, I think you've hit the nail on the head there with the rest of the season comment. This horse is clearly well handicapped. Actually, Harry came up with this idea about a month ago. I was driving back from racing one day, looking through potential horses to run in the Greatwood, and I'm like, we haven't got one here. And Harry said, run West Cork. So I was like, that's not a bad idea. So we tripled his work, to be honest with you. The injury he got last year was really strange. He actually scraped the back of his fetlock coming off a lorry, which was really, really odd. It just meant that he had to have a bit of time off. But I've done loads of work with him. He certainly looks well handicapped. His form suggests he's well handicapped. Whether he can just spring into a race like the Greatwood after all that time off, let's find out. But I've got no negatives. I've got no negatives at all.
It's fair to say it's your race, Dan. I mean, you've had 4 Cheltenham Festival winners, 3 of them in the County Hurdle, so there's the pointer, I guess, guys. A quick word about Nube Negra, Dan. Revelation last year. Ran really well in the Champion Chase. How's he for the Shloer?
Really good. Looked at this about 2.5 weeks ago. Spoke to Terry Spraggett, his owner, and said, look, there might be one staring us in the eye here. Could be on decent ground. We should be going. And the form he was in at the time, I thought this is the right thing to do, and I'm really glad we have. This horse's chance is massively increased by running on good to soft ground rather than soft heavy, and I think that gives him a big shout of reversing the form with Put the Kettle on Sunday. Obviously, Paul's got 2 in there as well. Reading his stable tour, looks like Politolog's really ready, and Rouge Vif perhaps not as ready as Politolog. And if he's got Politolog, a multiple Grade 1 winner ready, he's going to be hard to beat. So, yeah, it looks like a very, very good race for what's only 4 runners. But, I'm delighted to be part of it. He's a good horse. He's only 7. Everyone's talking about Shishkin improving at 7. this horse is also 7. So's Put the Kettle On, actually. So maybe they all improve. I don't know, but he's in good form. That's all I can say.
It's a proper hot division. We could listen to Dan talk all day.
Can I ask about one more horse that isn't running?
Go on. Get him in, Dan.
Last week, this juvenile hurdle form it just seems to be red hot. But in this world, the one at Warwick beat Fidor that hacked up at Damwell in France. So, how good do you think he is, Dan?
In this world, yeah, he's pretty good. I don't think we knew, or Phil Dawes' team knew, that race that day was going to turn out to be the first and second anti-post favourite this time of year for a Triumph Hurdle. But it's funny how things work out. He's a very good attitude. He's a very sort of easy horse. He likes jumping, and I was expecting him to win, and I was glad he did. You won't see him now to the spring. I'll perhaps give him one more run, Adonis, and then look to the Triumph.
That's what you wanted to hear, Keels, wasn't it?
Exactly. Yeah, I think he's always more of a future. He's quite a big horse, is he, Dan?
He'd be 16-1. He's not massive. He's actually still in tyre. And we actually bought him. We actually bought him to potentially stand as a stallion one day.
Right.
He's by Sont de Sont, and actually his grandmother is a mare called Mia Aria, who all the sort of anoraks will know. That was the mare that Keto Star was coming up against when he was still in France, and they were sort of, one was winning one day, one was winning another day, and so he's really well bred, and hopefully that'll be him one day.
We'll let Kills get on with Bet365 for the Triumph while I tell you what's coming up on the rest of the show. We're going to look at some hot topics, don't worry for you. We'll be giving you 5 big race previews and, of course, then those all-important weekend winners. So, the Racing Pro's Christmas Countdown offers you the chance to win the ultimate Cheltenham Festival experience. Travel in style to Gold Cup Day with a helicopter transfer from your 5-star hotel. Experience fine dining at the Chez Roux restaurant. Some of the finest views of Prestbury Park. You and 3 friends could win this. To enter, simply place a bet on the Racing Post app throughout this November meeting at Cheltenham. Weekly prizes on offer all the way up to Boxing Day. Do not miss out. Hot topic time then, let's get them up on the screen. You know the drill now, regular viewers, and if you're new to it, 6 hot topics on the screen. The panellists will pick 3. Can't wait to see what Dan Skelton says about a couple of these. Let's go for 2 to tango. Dan, I want to come straight to you. On Sunday in the intermediate chase there, we saw Chantry House beating the big breakaway. Lots has been said about small fields, Dan, and of course lots has been said about the My Drogo race this weekend, televised, etc. What are we going to do with this? Are we looking too much into it, or?
Yeah, you are. Because ultimately the races are put on. They've been there for a long time. They are consistently small fields. It is what it is. You know, sometimes you get lots of runners and those handicaps. We know we get those. And then there's other races that you need to develop the younger horses. And ultimately, you know, people don't want to take on those highly rated horses in those smaller races. But if you don't get the experience, you can't go for them. It's a chicken and an egg situation. And you could, discuss it until the cows come home. Ultimately, you won't get any further along. It's just a fact of racing. You have to have some of these now and again. It's not great when it happens. I, as a trainer, don't want to see it because, you know, it's not good for anybody. If I had a good ground, 3-mile, second season novice that I could have run on Sunday, I'd have took Chantry House on. No question. If that had been soft ground, I'd have run Alnadam. No question. Yeah. But sometimes things just go that way. At the end of the day, there's 3 results in a 2-horse race. One wins, the other wins, or neither get round. So they're 3 results. You get 3 results in a football match. You got to, I don't know, have we got to get more creative with the betting product and say we have to do these different things when there's small fields? We've got to think outside the box. We can't just jump up and down and say they're no good and let's think about scrapping them. We need to do something different.
Let's have a look at, let's go down the list where we're going to go well with Dan on. We've got to talk about Irish Invasion. Obviously, we know all about the 23-5 demolition job, Dan, of 10 of the 11 home in the Grand National went to Ireland. You were very vociferous about that. 57 entered, as Dave Jennings reported on Monday at the meeting. If all go to post on Friday, 12 will run in Ireland. That beats the previous 2 years by 2 runners. They think they can take our prizes, Dan. What have you got to say about it?
Well, on the Springs evidence, they can. But I think the reason that they're coming over, especially to Cheltenham, is it's Cheltenham. You know, we have Cheltenham, and that's the biggest deal. And the Irish love coming over and having runners there and being competitive there. We don't view sort of we because it's hard to beat them when they come over here. What's the point in us going over there trying to beat them on home territory? So I think that it's a bit lopsided how it's viewed one way to the other, because the Irish are winning so much over here. But take nothing away from the fact that this weekend you've got really nice ground at Cheltenham, lots of prize money, and the Irish owners, trainers, everybody love coming to Cheltenham. And it ultimately makes it more competitive. And yeah, I'm not worried about it. You know, come over, have a go. If they win a few, great. If they don't, come again next time. It's competitive. There's no point shirking away from a challenge. You know, and as regards that 23-5 thing, we'll put that right. It might take a few years, but it'll get balanced out. We all know we've got to do things differently. But, you know, that's sport. Sometimes, you know, it all runs in one ditch and sometimes it runs in another. So don't worry about that.
There you go then. Dan Skelton telling us all about the hot topics. There is another one. Just very quickly, chaps, on this. Dan says we're looking too much into it. But from a betting point of view, bookmakers are saying it's a wasted opportunity. There should be more flexibility from the TV, you know, executives that are looking at these things. Should they have thought about, I mean, is it appealing to the greater, wider racing audience? I'm sitting on the fence with it, I've got to be honest with you. Andrew Cooper obviously came out, didn't he, in defence of that Sandown race, and rightly reminded us that since 2011, the Chantry House race is now being built. It only had 3 or 4 runners. It's always going to be like that, Kills, isn't it? Barton Bank in 93 before he won the King George. He went and beat just one rider.
I mean, I think there's too many conditions races, full stop, for the more exposed horses. I don't think you can complain about novice chases, though. I mean, you know, it's a novice chase that My Drogo's running in, for instance. It's only got 2 runners, then Tough Luck. Like, you know, but yes, TV should think about changing it. Now, as a purist, and there's plenty of purists out there, we all want to see My Drogo jump a fence.
Yeah.
But if you're talking about an armchair punter who wants to sit there and have a bet,
it's going to turn him off.
He's going to look on that and say, what on earth is this on for?
Yeah.
Like, you know, so, and then there's never an amateur rider, an handicap chase or something that's right there. That could be.
You can talk about the novice handicaps as well, but maybe that's one for the future. We're on the clock here, obviously, on What a Shout as well. Has that diluted slightly? You know, the novice handicaps are great, aren't they? These chases, but there we go. All right, let's just get one more hot topic for you, and we're going to switch back. Listen, the fat is over now, and of course, last weekend we were treated to the Breeders' Cup, weren't we? And Pat, up for the Cup?
Absolutely, yeah. I thought it was a tremendous 2 days. We had 5 Breeders' Cup races on the Friday, and of course the big 9 on the Saturday. I thought it was excellent. ITV reported, buoyant figures for their point of view. So it was a big success. We had and the big horses turned up and delivered, didn't they? Nick Sco won the big one. Golden Pal, we know him from the sprint. And of course, Space Blues on his final run for Charlie Appleby. So they all turned up, they all delivered. It was a fantastic show. And there's 2 things really to take out of it, I thought. The Japanese had 2 winners. And they're buying up all these mares who have got high-class levels of form on the flat. So they're going to be a force to be reckoned with, without a doubt. It's a matter of time before they win an Arc de Triomphe, I think. And, of course, we always think with the Arc it's soft ground, they probably want better ground. But the Japanese are definitely to be taken seriously. And then, without labouring the point, you look at Ascot Champions Day, there's 6 races. Well, there was 9 Breeders' Cup races. Ascot, come on, 6, not really enough.
Even Kills, you enjoyed that, sitting back in the evening, didn't you? Of course, responsible gambling. We said just don't go just like punting away madly, but it was nice to see. The boys in blue had a treble, didn't they, over the meeting?
Oh, I fell asleep, mate, honestly.
You even backed the winner of the turf and didn't stay up for it.
I mean, I had a tiny bet, because I certainly wouldn't go mad on that, but yeah, I thought, I've had a bet here, and I don't know, what am I doing? I'm going to bed, and I found out in the morning.
Yeah, it was great to see the American Cup.
I don't like dirt races. Never, and I'm never going to. Like, you know, I mean, the turf races are interesting, but I mean, it's like, you know, running top class racing at Chester every year, isn't it?
Yeah.
What's it all about?
Yeah, I'll tell you what. The jockey ship over there is also in a great narrative, isn't it? I'll tell you what. I'm up for the Cup. 2:15 then, first of the big race previews. Delighted to say it's the Paddy Power Gold Cup. We've spoken to Dan Skelton. Dan basically said Protector at Grade 1 horse running in a handicap. Spirit of the Games, I'm just going to get it out there. I think Spirit of the Games has been overlooked for this. And I got a short list of 3. Cool Cody was on it, last year's winner. You watch back that race though, last year, Kills, and he did get a bit of a freebie, didn't he? Spirit of the Games is better off at the race. Yes, he hasn't won for 3 years, but Dan said he just loves Cheltenham. He comes alive. I can see him creeping into the place, and along with Niechka as well. if I pronounced that right, the Brian Ellison.
Nietzsche? I don't know.
Nietzsche. However, it is Gamble in the week. Of course, Dan Gilbert, his owner, said to David Carr, not my money. He's not bred to be an 8-year-old, but of course, classic Ellison prep. They're the three. Spirit of the Games will do for me. Is £10 enough getting from Protectorate?
Oh, cool. You like a bit of a rag, don't you?
Well, do you know what, Gills? I looked at the market leaders and didn't fancy him.
Well, this is it. I mean, Lawler is handicapped to be competitive on what he did for Kealy Woolacott, and now with Paul Nicholls could be like with the wind up as well. And goes really well fresh and likes Cheltenham, blah, blah, blah. He's obviously got a great chance. Protectorate. Dan seems really pretty confident that this is a very good horse. But they're running, they're giving weight away to some, decent horses. Now, I've got one that, I was never in love with him, and it was literally a last-minute thing. I thought, hang on, this horse, Zanza, has got a really, really good chance. Now, last year, if you remember, I was all over Sky Pirate last year, wasn't I? Well, he was cantering 3 out in that 2-mile handicap in December, and he had one of those typical annoying third last falls where his legs just fell away from him at the third last. Now, I can't believe he would have been worse than second. I don't think he'd have won, but then Sky Pirate's £25 higher now. Iblio, who ended up being second, is £19 higher, and he's now off the same mark. Now, I think he's very much a this time of year horse as well, but last year he ran in the Grand Annual, badly hampered and pulled up after a faller went in front of him. He almost got brought to the floor at Aintree at the last by a faller.
Yeah.
He definitely finished fourth then, but he spent the entire race telling anybody with eyes that he wanted to go further than 2 mile now. He did go 2 mile in the further than 2 mile in the Horgan Gold Cup, because that's 2 mile 1.5. Best work at the end. If you want to go your full handicapping £1 per length, if he runs off his correct mark, he wins.
Pat, finally, you can tell us who are the Wallies, or you can say, yes, there's been money for this, yes, there's been money for that, and I agree.
Yeah, well, I'm actually with Keels with Zanza. I do like this horse as a handicap mark. My only issue with the horse, he's got form figures last year, FP6. I was on all 3 times. And sometimes he's a sort of horse, if you get stuck behind him on the M25, you're in the wrong lane, aren't you? He's just one of those horses. You stop the race and say, what happened next? And you'd probably say, well, Zanza's probably near enough won that. And it was a very likeable reappearance, and stable Philip Hobbs are going well. He's definitely got to be on the short list, but having tried and failed 3 times with him, I might just let him run.
Yeah.
Anti-post. I like the idea of that, Pat, because when you desert a horse, you reckon that's when they win.
That's when they win. We know.
Please
Jump
leave
off
him
a
alone.
cliff. Some people bounce back, don't they?
But the interesting thing in terms of the anti-post market, the 3 that have been the best backed horses anti-post have been Al Dancer, Laylaw and Caribbean Boy. And the common denominator with all those 3 is they all pulled up the last time we saw them. OK, Caribbean Boy was at Aintree and maybe he did work out. Yeah. Laylaw, again, is its first wind up, first run and tighter, first run for Paul Nicholls.
Are you going for Al Dancer?
And I just keep coming back to Protectorate. Dan Skelton is very keen on him. He's a Grade 1 winner in a handicap. His mark 154. That's not the rudest handicap mark in it. And I just think, you know what you're going to get with him. You've got a Grade 1 winner running for you. You're not saying, yeah, but if I go back to that run of that race and that run, if I go back 3 years and this horse's best days are in front of him. So I think I'll probably go Protectorate, and I will fall for Zanzar again each way, I'm sure.
There you go then. After all that, we should have just stuck with Dan Skelton. Should have been. One thing we can say is the feature race on Saturday, 2:15, and this won't be going back to Ireland. Second of our preview races for you. It's the 250 at Cheltenham. It is a staying handicap. It's a listed affair. And Pat Cooney, who's been hot and who's not. Now, Dan Skelton, very confident on Prashima.
Yeah.
Where are we going with him in the market? I'm assuming he's probably going to go off Fav.
He is favourite, and again, Dan gave us no negatives about the horse's claims. And his form looks good, doesn't he? He was a decent flat handicapper. He's sure to be favourite. He's got 11-11, that's not a problem. His last run was at Wetherby in a race that we sponsored. Paisley Park ran in the race. Indefatigable, is that how we pronounce it?
You've done it.
I've done it. That one, and that looked
Indefatigable. He was so close. Didn't want to let him down.
But that looks solid form to me. OK, the handicappers nudged him up a couple of pounds for the run, but then so he should. He finished in front of Paisley Park on unfavourable terms. He comes here in good form. He's fit. you know that old phrase, he ticks an awful lot of boxes. He's a worthy favourite. Lying in wait are horses like Dragon Bones, Baron Millsy. Yeah, I get all that. They've got some sort of form book chance. But if you go on the last runs, Proshima's last run, if he repeats that puts him bang there. He'd be my selection.
Kills.
Well, look, it's quite simple, isn't it? He's been beaten less than 3 lengths by Indefatigable, who's rated 148, and he was given £7 to. And he's finished 2 and a bit lengths ahead of Paisley Park. He's rated 163, and now he runs in a handicap off a mark of 145. Now, even if he isn't the most straightforward of horses, and I think that would probably be unkind to him anyway, he's potentially lobbed in. That was his first go at 3 miles, remember, and he was a tail on the flat. I can see him going off 7-4. I really can. It doesn't mean he'll win, but his claims are absolutely standard, and there are others in the race that aren't guaranteed stays.
Yeah. What do we make of Sporting John in here?
Right. Well, I mean, Sporting John, very, very talented horse, right? But the 2 times he ran at Cheltenham was dreadful. Like, both times. And he was in top class races then, but he was beaten well early. Like, you know what I mean? So I can't have him. And, like I said, there are a couple of others there that probably won't stay. I mean, Dragon Bones is clear second favourite.
Yeah.
I think we've got Bally Millsy, who fell, but Dragon Bones was definitely going to beat him that day. I think he was gone. I have a sneaky feeling that Showtime is going to finish in the frame.
Okay.
That was first run at 3 Mile at Gowan last time, and if he hadn't made a mistake 2 out, he was actually staying on well. Now, he's not bred for 3 Mile, really, but he has been showing that he wants further than 2, and he ran without the tongue tie last time. Sole Irish Raider in that race, 20-1. I think he might finish in the frame, but I think Proshima's like, if you're getting 3-1 about, a horse, I think he'll be under 2s on the day, because he's just an absolute standout.
Dragon Bones caught my eye in the finish last time when she ran at the October meeting. Ian Williams won this race a couple of years ago when they omitted all the hurdles. Won't go into that. I think they'll ride her slightly differently. She looks a moral to hit the frame to me. So I think that there's lots there. But it's fair to say that Proshima is carrying a weight of confidence. OK, 205 across the Irish Sea. Go we! It's the Morgiana Hurdle. It's Grade 1 action. Now, of course, these 2 days at Punchestown usually throw up informative treats all over the place. Bob Ollinger will have hopefully passed his first chasing examination on the Saturday, for example. Informative novices everywhere, but this is the one, Kills, with the champion hurdle in mind. It has cut up a bit, but again, it seems to be doing that in recent seasons. Who's the radar on?
Oh, it's always going to cut up, isn't it? Well, I don't know, the radar for everybody seems to be on this Echoes in Rain, and it's possibly, I think, one of the most baffling prices I've ever seen in my life. Now, she's very, very promising, there's no doubt about that. String of ones next to her name that punters seem to like. But even with the £7 mare's allowance, you cannot get her to within a stone of what, say, Sharjah has done. Yeah. She has an official rating of 143. And Sharjah has an official rating of 164. So we'd be giving her £21 in a handicap, not £7 that she gets here. So, I mean, it's just... It's slightly bonkers, really.
Stablemates, aren't they, of course?
Stablemates, of course, yeah. She's going to be fit. She may well be fitter than him, because he's had a proper break this time, and will probably need it. But I think if you've got to back an even money shot, you want a horse with an awful lot better form in the race than it's got at the moment. She might turn out to be the next big thing, the next great mare. But, I mean, let her run at even money. I mean, Christ, it's crazy price. But you've got to have a bit in the race at the same time when you know that on form, the favourite is the one that can't win.
So a lot of people will be looking at this thinking, really tricky, first time out, you're betting they're ready. We think Sharjah... we should also say this weekend, it's traditionally when Mullins ramps up, Pat, isn't it? And he looks a bit lighter. So maybe he's not happy with the ground, maybe they're a bit behind.
Yeah, that's possible. But, I mean, this is a Grade 1 race. I'm with Kills. It's one of those... If a spaceship landed in the middle of Punchestown and said, what's favourite? And you say, well, there's an even money chance.
You love a theoretical alien, don't you? You absolutely do.
But what do I tell the alien? Echoes in Rain is round about evens? Well, he'd just jump back in the spaceship and fly off.
What about Abacadabras, last year's winner? He had a run, Kills, didn't he, when he won it last year?
Yeah, he had a run last year. I mean, again, we don't know the state of fitness of these horses, but he's a horse that's, one, he's a traveller, 2, he likes decent ground, or is always said to prefer decent ground. Surprises everybody that he wins over 2.5.
And Elliott's horses, let's face it, offline, aren't they?
But yeah, Elliott's horse is going really well. He's 9-2 against a horse that on the form book he's miles better than.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be the one to beat tomorrow, and I can't see that 9-2 lasting. If it turns out he's fit, I'm sure the market will speak in his favour.
Is he the pick then? Is he the headline?
He's the pick for me, yeah.
I have to say, I think I probably would go down that. I'm going to watch this pretty much, I think, and learn about the Champion Hurdle division. Pat?
Yeah, make that 3 abracadabras. I just think on balance and value, that's probably the one. The favourite Echoes in Rain. She's got a favourites chance anti-post in the Mare's Hurdle. But if she was to win this impressively, then maybe connections will be thinking, we've only Honeysuckle to beat, really, at the moment. So we might be a champion. Instead of having an even fiver, you might as well have an even, a 5 runner to win the Champion Hurdle, maybe, and get your interest. But definitely a race to be careful on.
Yeah, okay. We're being pouring down then on the price on Echoes of Rain at even money, but we're hoping the rabbit will come out of the hat with abracadabras. Let's go back to Prestbury Park for you. Sunday treats, one of the great Sundays of the racing calendar, isn't it? And it's the Shloer Chase, the really impossible one for us journalists to always remember how to spell it. But some of the greats have won this Keels. It's been made a grade 2 in recent years. 4 runners, but we knew this was going to be, whatever you think about these small fields, we knew this was going to cut up, right?
Yeah, this was guaranteed to be short. I mean, at the end of the day, there's only one race on the card with more than half a dozen runners, isn't there? It's not, it's not the greatest punting card in the world, but there are some interesting races. There are some fantastic horses running, and this is it. Obviously, we've got the Champion Chase winner. Cause a surprise, although perhaps we shouldn't have been that surprised, given she's unbeaten at Cheltenham and won an Arkle. And like she pulls it out, doesn't she? Put the kettle on, she does. I think it's a really, really tight little race, this, and you can make a case for everything. And although Dan Skelton has already told us that Paul Nicholls seems to think he's got Politolog ahead of Rouge Vif, I think Rouge Vif wants to be undercooked. I think he goes extremely well fresh.
Yeah.
And he won doing handsprings last year. At the track, didn't he? On decent ground, which he'll absolutely bounce off.
Yeah.
And he's getting £6 from all the others as well, remember?
He was deadly, wasn't he, that day?
Doesn't put him far away. And I just have this little feeling that he might be the sort of horse that, you get him too fit, he goes over the top. And I think this might be his day.
First time for Nicholls, of course. We've got the Tingle Creek winner in here, Political, what can we say about him? How do you see it going? I'm with Put the Kettle on here. I just think she just turns up and wins at Cheltenham, doesn't she? And probably this might be her. I wonder if she might end up in a Ryanair potentially as well as the division starts to hold up. She always comes late, doesn't she? Anyway, it's an interesting one for me, that. I'll be with her. Pat?
I don't know, it's a tough one. There's just the 4 runners. All 4 of them won first time out last year, so that's, there's no edge there. I suppose I just keep coming back to Put the Kettle on. 4 runs, 4 wins at Cheltenham. Mare's Allowance, which is gold dust. I would take her as my likely winner, but if I was having a play spot, I'd put all 4 in, put it that way.
Yeah, she'll want Politolog to go on, wouldn't she? She's the one that probably don't want the Dawdle, I would imagine. So Rouge Vif, first time for Nicholls.
There's potential for Rouge Vif to go on as well.
Yeah, there is. Yeah. All right, it's 4 runners. It's a cracker. We've not tipped Nube Negra. We've got Dan Skelton on the card. Watch him come over the top late. 255. It is what I'm calling the highlight of the entire weekend. Is the 255 Greatwood Hurdle. 20 runners. Yes, unbelievable scenes, but we do have more than double figure field. I said it's the highlight of the weekend. You just walk up and you said it's got to be the Paddy Power. I know it's hurdlers, man, but this is a proper race.
It's a proper race, yeah, but come on, we're all about chasers and the jump season, isn't it? That's what we like to see. That's what I like to see anyway. I much prefer chasers to hurdles.
No ordinary Joe then. Pat's probably going to tell us it's been one of Antipo's punches, but you've got an endo stat.
Well, I'm almost as baffled about this as I am about Echoes in Rain, to be honest. I mean, for a start, he's won 2 Mickey Mouse races, proper Mickey Mouse races as well, by the way. Over hurdles, over 2.5 mile. In this stable tour, Hendo says we're going to go down a 2.5 mile route. And on pedigree, he'll end up wanting further in time. Now, he may well have the pace, but in terms of handicapping and what he's done, and he's a terrible price. Henderson's horses seem to be a little bit behind.
They are.
Right? And he's had 1 winner in the last 3 years at the Paddy Power meeting.
Wait, was that Sprinter
December? That was.
Must have been
that was on the blind side.
Of course.
Last year.
Sprinter Sacre won the Schlag.
It doesn't mean he might. He might tear all that form up and have a stack of winners this weekend.
I guess the fact he's sort of, it's not like he's coming back off
We're used to him hitting right form at Ladbrokes Trophy meeting, aren't we? That's when he kicks.
And then your Ascot Christmas.
Ascot Christmas, anything really, really dangerous. I think on form is a terrible price. On the trainer's recent record, obviously it's not always been that bad, but on his recent record at this meeting, he's a terrible price, and he's got to be taken on.
Yeah. I was told about him when he won his debut at Sandown. This was a proper horse, and he won like one. And then he was a little bit disappointing since. He's come quietly, done it. He does tick historical boxes for this, but I'm with you. It's interesting. Is it interesting that they're running here and not going for like something a bit more Betfair Trophy like?
Well, obviously we've got to wait for that.
But this is a tough test, isn't it?
It is a tough test for one with such little experience, and he did have the Grade 2 entry over 2.5 miles earlier in the week.
Yeah.
So he could have gone there. They decided to go for the big handicap. I'm not buying it. I think this is again like the Paddy Parrot. It's a very deep race. I've backed a couple of bigger prices. We'll start with Cormier, our old friend.
Put him up in the race last year.
Absolutely convinced he is going to one day win a decent pot. Now he was 7th in this race last year, but the ground was very soft.
And he was $1 million after 2 flights because he was so far back.
He was, yeah. And he's run an awful lot better now. He ran in the World Champion and he came there cruising and then didn't find so much. You know what I mean? But then he's dropped in the weights. The winner's gone way up the weights. He's much better off with that one. And I think it's all been about this race, I think.
And Ellison, of course, has won this.
Ellison likes this race. He won it with Nietzsche, who finished 6th the previous year in the race. So I think Cormier's got, he's got a lower mark than last year. B, it might actually be a higher mark. I might have made that up.
It'll either make the edit or it won't.
Check that yourselves. He's got his ground as well. I think Trainer's absolutely adamant that he doesn't want it bottomless, even though he's got some good form. Remember, he was second to Camperond and
you just have to hope that they attack earlier, don't you?
I hope they attack early. I hope they go harder earlier.
When he won it with Nietzsche, there were hardly any hurdles jump. He beat Silver Streak. I could picture it greatly. And Danny McMenamin was on, and he was always up there.
Yeah.
So hopefully...
Yeah. Well, it's one of them. It all depends on what happens, because, again, he's one of the horses that has a creeping style, isn't it? Remember Sylvester Caesar on the flat at Sandown, and they had an absolute crawl of a race there, and he was still last turning in and still looked like he was going to win, but obviously he'd done too much to make up the ground. So hopefully there'll be a bit of pace in the race. That's the hope. And the other one I like at a big price is Galise Macalo, who may have had the final piece in the jigsaw with a first-time hood, because again this is another one, real keen goer, and hopefully Chester Williams has learned a little bit more, because he hit the front way too soon. I mean, in certain respects, he dragged him there because he was cantering and going so well, and then didn't find so much. Jane Williams went very close with Monsieur Lecoq 2 years ago.
Yes, yeah.
This is a 20-to-1 shot, who's a strong traveller. Shapes like he's a lot better than his mark, or that he will be a lot better than his mark. He's still young. So that would be my two at prices. We already know that Dan Skelton has told us that Westcourt is very well handicapped. Yeah. And this is a man who won 3 county hurdles in 4 years. So he knows all about handicapping and hurdles. So you've got to take that on board. You've got to fear him. But my two at prices, Galise Macalo and Cormier.
Well, there's a nice link there, Kills. And before we go to Pat then, just wait in the wings, Pat, if you don't mind. I'll get mine out of the way. I had a short list of 7 for this, so it shows you what sort of race it is. Yeah. And on top, I'm going to go with Tritonic, he just has to jump better. If he does, watch back that intermediate race at Cheltenham. And I wonder whether in a week's time we could be looking at a very hot form race. We sort of scoffed at it a bit, didn't we? Early October form, Twisters, Novice, 33-1, I like to move it, who runs on Sunday, of course. However, you watch that back, Kingy's won 2 of the last 4 of these, like Skelton, so this is his race, isn't it, King? He knows how to win it. This has been the plan. We had him on the show that weekend. He said he's ready to do himself justice, but I did leave something to work on. I hope that's the case, Kingy, because if he is, he's going to improve. It's just the jumping. He was sketchy at a couple, and you'd wonder whether in this bigger field, but Kingy has actually said in the week in his weekender column, this will suit him a lot better. And you watch him up, he's coming back at the finish. He'll do for me on top. I didn't think I was going to be tipping Tritonic. I am.
Well, I think it's an interesting race, and given that there's small fields at Cheltenham, the bookmakers have only really got one race to have a real knock the ball out of the park, and it's this race here. And I think from a bookmaking point of view, you're going to like your chances here. No Ordinary Joe, you can only be lukewarm about his chance and price, can't you? Yeah. Second favourite, West Cork, we get it, he's fit and everything, but he's not run for 600 odd days, beatable. The third favourite, Adagio, a 4-year-old carrying top weight. So the bookmakers can kind of smell a shock result here, and it wouldn't be a surprise if you got a 16-to-1 chance win it. I think there's 2 interesting runners, both Irish. Jesse Evans, trained by Noel Mead, And look at that for a jockey booking, Harry Cobden.
Yeah, Dave Jennings really keen on this, and we know what the boys on up at the ante did on the show
Now,
last
Harry
week.
Cobden was booked up a few days ago, and you'd presume, wouldn't you, Paul Nicholls would have a runner that Harry Cobden would be on. So Noel Mead, he's been alive to the fact I could get Harry Cobden here. So that's very much of interest. And the other one of very much of interest is Advanced Virgo of Charles Burns. And again, another significant jockey booking quite early on in the week, Darryl Jacob. Now, you look at the Advanced Virgo's hurdle form, doesn't jump out the page at you, but he ran ever so well on the flat last time at a big price, so this was obviously a sighter for this race. So, looking at the two Irish horses, Jesse Evans, Advanced Virgo, two top-class English jockeys booked.
You're expecting money for them?
That implies they mean business. So this is sort of race where we can
the
smell
Irish
danger.
jockeys couldn't be asked to come over because they got no chance.
Yeah, of course. It's a Greatwood Hurdle. According to Kills, the Irish have got no chance. Weekend winner time then. What's going to win on November Cheltenham meeting? Paul Kealy, best bet of the weekend.
I am going to take a chance in the Paddy Parozanza. I think there is potentially a very, very well handicapped horse in there, and hopefully he'll stay out of trouble and not make any trouble of his own.
Wow, okay, I'm going to be watching that with you. I'm really looking forward to that now. Pat Cooney?
I'm going to Lingfield on the all-weather for the 120. And this is the comments on this particular horse that ran last time
It is
out.
on terrestrial TV, Kills.
This is the comment on this
120.
horse
Not
last
the
time out.
120.
Towards rear, going easily, waiting for room 2 out, nudged along and bumped over 1 out, not clear run repeatedly, kept on, not recover, eye catcher. I watched it myself. It was a 7-runner race at Haydock. It finished 4th.
Name?
It's called One Small Step in the 120 at Lingfield. Watch it run last time out. It's on the same handicap mark this time around.
Trainer?
It's trained by Brian Meehan, and it should have won last time. Same handicap mark this time around. Just watch it last time out and tell me it wouldn't have won. Same handicap mark.
Kills is exploding.
Oh, horses are getting trouble at Lingfield, running again at Lingfield, getting trouble again, don't they?
I'm just glad I didn't do that comment in running because it sounds like it might be a painful one. But we know Pat likes to go elsewhere and with success. Let's see what Dan Skelton thinks. Dan, what's your best winner of the weekend?
Prashima.
Nice and simple, of course. He won his last race at Cheltenham. Just get on.
Yeah, he was actually second at Wetherby in a graded race, and on paper that looks like above handicap form. You know, that's the theory, and the reality is he's well at home, and I can't have any excuses. The ground's lovely. He's won at the track. What's not lot to like?
There you go. 250 at Cheltenham. You heard it from the trainer's mouth. Well, there we go then. Dan seeing the ball big with Prashima. I'm going to stick on Saturday as well. 350. My old mucker. Tony Martin coming over with a couple of horses. Great to see. All's well with the world when Tony Martin brings one over. And in the 350, good time, Johnny's massively overpriced. He won doing handsprings last time. This has been laid out for this race. Good time, Johnny. There are your 4 weekend winners. Well, that's all we've got time for, sadly, here on this weekend's What a Shout. Whoa, the sport out there. What a treat for you guys. What a treat to have Pat Cooney back with us.
Yeah, thoroughly enjoyed it, and it's beginning to get serious this jump season, isn't it? Some big names coming out.
Yeah, of course, we've got Betfair Chase and Fighting Fifth, and we've got Tingle Creek, Hennessy, all that sort of stuff. Old Hennessy, of course, Gills. You'll be with us for them?
Yes, we'll be. Yeah. Look, really looking forward to it. It really ramps up now, doesn't it? I mean, we talk about, Chepstow starts the season, so-and-so starts the season, but the Paddy Power Gold Cup is where it really is, isn't it?
Yeah.
It really ramps
Dan
up.
Skelton was great, wasn't he?
Yes.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Yeah, all right. If you love Dan as well, get your comments in below. Let him know. He will be reading them, and for Pat and Keels as well. Great to have it along with us. And don't forget, of course, to download the free must-have Racing Post app. Do that on the App Store, the Google Play Store. Lots of betting out there. Gamble responsibly, please. Great time to be on planet Earth. Godspeed. Enjoy the sport.